I thought it was good. I mean, obviously the intensity wasn't, physically our guys aren't banging into each other, and that's to be expected. But you know what? I thought they played pretty hard, and some of the things offensively that we're working on, I seen out there. So it's going to be better to play in an exhibition game against another team, though.
Just a thought on Eric Brandstrom, because I mean, to us, he looked like he had some jump and he had a little pace to his game. What did you see out of Brandstrom?
Yeah, you know what? He moved pucks well. I thought he skated well. But again, all these guys, I think a lot of guys look good in camp, and exhibition's going to be the be-all, end-all for everybody.
DJ DOT winner from last season. Are you looking to see a bit more offense out of him this coming season?
Well, yeah, he scored a ton of goals in the WHL, selected in the first round. We see big-time potential. But again, he needs time. He needs to develop and put in the right situations. But certainly it looks like we have a good player. Well, I think there's a big time ability in a guy like Robbie Urvente. I mean, you just see an NHL player there. Certainly there's going to be growing pains. He's a young guy. He needs to play a lot of minutes, in Belleville. But there's a lot of ability there. I think, enough is said about Gregor, in his ability and everything. But I think the other guy that's probably been the most surprising at camp is probably Ostapchuk. From this year's draft. That's a heck of a pick, it looks like. This is all early, but just watching him out there, his pace, his work ethic, his size, his ability to cut to the middle of the ice and make plays, it looks like we've got ourselves a good player. I see him as a winger, and that's where we drafted him. But arguably, he might have the best release of anyone out here right now, what I've seen. In the NHL's hard. A young guys sometimes go through an entire game, maybe only get a shot or two, but I'll tell you, if you give him 5 shots, one's going in. He can play all over the place. He doesn't play center, but he can play left wing or right wing equally well. His game is in the offensive zone. He's smart enough to get through the ins and outs of defensive zone, but at the end of the day, he's a power play guy. He's a shifty guy in the O zone, and he's a guy that can provide offense.
So you might see him moving around.
Yeah, right now we're a little light on the right side. So that's where he plays. But he's played right, he's played left. He can play both equally as well. Well, he's a young guy, so to put a young guy at that situation in a league of men is just isn't fair. But just natural growing, getting stronger. He's 18, 19 years old. He's not done growing. So just natural growth, work ethic, details to his game, all these things. And our development staff, Sean Donovan, Jesse, and our coaching staff in Belleville do an unbelievable job with these guys with details. So I suspect, after a season with these guys, that he's going to be a much better player. And to me, when he's 20, 21, 22, you're going to have yourself a real prospect.
What kind of flexibility does Nick Holden give you? It seems like he can play left or right, and do you feel like he'll play a little bit of both?
Yeah, for sure he will. Reminds me of, I was saying the other day, it's like a reincarnation of Ron Hainsey there on the, he can play left, he can play right, he's calm, nothing phases him, he knows how to play the position. He's a good guy to have around for young guys. He's played in the conference finals last year. He's played for different coaches. He just knows how to play the game. And there's something to be said about guys that have been in the league a long time and know how to play. And I think Nick's going to help me in a lot of areas.
Just the other day you were talking about softball and what, maybe he's going to need time, but when you see him in exhibition games, what are you looking for to see if he's at that level?
It's a great question. It's pace at the NHL level, because the biggest fear is that you rush somebody and they don't end up getting to their potential. We see a big guy that's really put the work in, that is a big-time power forward, we think, in the NHL. And the worst thing would be to put him in a spot where he's not making plays, he's not developing. He's going to have to really show an exhibition that, You know, he can do it on the big stage night in, night out, and it's not going to affect his confidence. And we all know exhibitions is, 2 steps slower than the regular season. And then we know the regular season in November is significantly faster than it is at the start. So we have enough people, in the front office and coaching staff that have been in the league long enough that understand that. And we don't want to put a kid in a bad spot. But in saying that, I mean, he continues to impress every day.
What kind of advantage, for a session like this, that you're usually either on the ice with these guys or on the bench, when you get a chance to kind of maybe watch them from a different angle or perspective, does it give you different information, or does it allow you to watch or scout a little bit differently, so to speak?
For sure it does. The higher up you sit, the easier the game is. And the lower you get to the ice, the faster and the less room and time you realize the players have. And I think a good thing, we had Rob Murphy, one of our pro scouts, who's a really good scout, coached one of the games. And that's for that particular reason, just to see how fast it's moving down there. When you're up top, you see the play that should be made every time, and you think, why didn't he make that play? Well, when you stand on the bench and they're going that fast by you, you realize how good the real good players are, and the difference between, the superstars, the good players, and then the average players is, the superstars make the play that you would make up in the 200s, and the other guys just don't. So for me, it allows me to just sit back and actually watch rather than, watch systems, and then I'm just watching the players.